What if the secret to making a man desire you is to do absolutely nothing? No texts? No, did you see my story? No, how was your day? It sounds irrational, maybe even counterintuitive. But that's where the ancient wisdom of Carl Jung speaks loudest. You see, when you stop pouring energy into someone, you're not being passive. You're reclaiming your spiritual center. You're not ghosting him. You're ghosting the version of yourself that overgives out of fear. Most women think presence equals power. But real power? It's in absence. It's in the mystery your silence evokes. Jung said that what we chase represents our own unconscious wounds. So, when you ignore a man, not with resentment, but with quiet intention, you stop being his mirror of validation. You become an enigma, a symbol, something unresolved. And mystery? That is magnetic. A man doesn't fall in love when you give him everything. He falls when he feels the loss of what you gave so freely before. Think of the moments you didn't respond immediately. Remember how he suddenly started showing more interest. That's not coincidence. That's biology. Scarcity makes the heart lean in. But here's the most important truth. Ignoring doesn't mean being cruel. It means not being accessible for what drains you. When your energy shifts inward, when you start prioritizing your own peace, your breath, your rituals, something remarkable happens. He feels your absence in his chest like a void, a sweet ache. You're no longer trying to be chosen. You're choosing you. Your silence becomes the question his ego can't answer. Did I lose her? Is she with someone else? Why isn't she chasing me anymore? And just like that, you're not invisible. You're unforgettable. There's a reason he stops trying when you always reply first. There's a reason he pulls back the moment you lean in too much. It's not because he doesn't care. It's because you've made it too easy to feel important. Every message you send first, every story you post just for him to see, every time you break the silence, you're not connecting. You're feeding his ego. Carl Jung once warned us, when we give too much of ourselves without reciprocity, we are not loving. We are unconscious. You may think you're being loving, devoted, loyal, but what you're really doing is echoing a pattern of fear. Fear of being forgotten, of not being good enough, of losing the one who never fully chose you. Here's the bitter truth. Most men are not narcissists, but they do get addicted to being desired. And when your attention disappears, their illusion of power cracks. He doesn't miss you. He misses the version of himself who felt adored in your presence. He misses the ease of emotional comfort you used to hand over like confetti. But when you stop feeding that identity, something seismic shifts. You stop being a supplier of ego strokes and start being a mirror that no longer reflects back the man he wishes to be, but the man he truly is. And this is where things get messy, because if he was only with you for the attention, he'll fade. But if there's something deeper, he'll come forward. Not right away, but eventually. Your emotional absence becomes a filter. It separates the temporary from the real. And the man who stays silent when you stop giving, he was never really there. So how do you stop feeding his ego without cruelty? Simple. Don't reply instantly. Don't initiate just to break the silence. Don't post stories just so he sees them. Don't explain your distance. Let your absence speak. Let your energy breathe. You're not disappearing. You're evolving. Because here's the thing. You're not here to prove your worth. You're here to embody it. When a man sees that you're no longer emotionally available, something within him shifts. He feels the gravity of your silence. He realizes he's not the sun you orbit anymore, and maybe, just maybe, that's when he begins to rise toward you, not from ego, but from reverence. Most women believe they need to speak to be heard. They think clarity comes from long messages, emotional explanations, or carefully worded boundaries. But the truth is more poetic and more powerful. Carl Jung taught us that the soul expresses itself in what is not said. And when you choose silence with a man who once thrived off your energy, it's not distance, it's declaration. Your silence becomes a mirror that reflects everything he's tried to ignore, every unanswered text, every story you don't post, every moment you choose peace over proving. He feels it like thunder in a room that used to echo your laughter. Silence isn't emptiness, it's presence. It's the space where ego dissolves and the real begins. You see, a man who's used to emotional access, your check-ins, your reassurance, your warmth, doesn't know what to do when it's gone. Suddenly, he can't predict your next move. He can't assume he still has your attention. And that uncertainty? It's an earthquake to his control, because what's taken for granted is easily ignored. But what disappears without explanation becomes obsession. You don't need to block him. You don't need to ghost him in anger. You simply become still. And that stillness, serene, sacred, sovereign, forces him to sit with the version of himself that no longer has your light to bask in. Jung called this meeting the shadow, the part of the self we hide, deny, and project. So when you walk away in quiet, you're not playing games. You're initiating his awakening. And if he reacts with anger, sarcasm, or sudden attention, don't be confused. That's not love. That's ego panic. If he truly values you, he will not just react. He will transform. Because this silence of yours, it's not punishment. It's proof. Proof that you are no longer willing to dance with his ego. You are no longer the woman begging to be seen. You are the woman who walks away with grace, not to manipulate, not to wound, but to return to yourself. The moment you choose peace over performance is the moment he realizes he never really knew your depth until you withdrew it. There's an art to not explaining yourself, and in that art lies the most potent feminine form of influence, mystery. When you vanish without fanfare, no cryptic posts, no parting words, no breadcrumbs left behind, you become the question he can't stop asking. Carl Jung once said, "The unconscious speaks through symbols." When you disappear without explanation, you become that symbol, not of rejection, but of something unresolved. And humans are hardwired to chase resolution. If you're always available, always replying, always clarifying, you do the emotional labor for him. He doesn't have to wonder. He doesn't have to reflect. He doesn't even have to feel. But when you become a question instead of an answer, when you stop offering your energy as a predictable source of comfort, his mind starts replaying. He rereads your messages. He remembers the last time you smiled at him. He wonders if he missed something. The silence becomes a space he can't fill with distractions. It becomes emotional gravity, a pull he can't name. But here's where most women make the mistake. They rush back in, they explain, they soothe, they try to preempt his confusion with clarity. Don't. Let him stew in the stillness. Let him initiate. Let him ask. Let him seek. Because when a man truly cares, he doesn't just feel your absence, he tries to fill it, not with empty words, but with meaningful action. This isn't a game. This is the unveiling of truth. Will he step forward with humility, Or will he fade into silence that matches yours? Let him reveal his intentions without your prompting. Let your absence be the altar where his true self is summoned. And if he reaches out, let it not be because you forced the narrative, but because your energy was unforgettable, because the void you left felt sacred, because in the stillness he finally saw your worth. That's not manipulation. That's magnetism. That's the beauty of letting go. There's a sacred power in the woman who walks away without a storm. No harsh words, no dramatic exit, no explanations. She simply stops orbiting. Carl Jung described a process called individuation, when a person begins separating from the noise of the world to return to their authentic essence. That's what you're doing when you disconnect. You're not punishing him. You're purifying you. You're stepping out of the loop where you overextend to prove your worth, where you perform care in hopes of being chosen. And in that quiet shift, something profound is born. Wholeness. Now, you're the woman who laughs without needing validation. You do your makeup for yourself. You go to bed without checking if he viewed your story. You begin to glow differently, not from attention, but from alignment. And he notices. Oh, he notices. He senses that your emotional climate has changed, that you're no longer operating from longing, but from centered self-respect. You're not reacting. You're not reaching. You're simply being. And in that stillness, you become luminous, like a lighthouse in fog. Your emotional distance calls to him. But here's the beautiful paradox. You didn't create that distance for him to chase you. You created it so you could come home to yourself. And that shift is felt in his gut. He doesn't know why he keeps checking his phone. He doesn't know why your silence bothers him more than your words ever did. But it does, because now you're not the woman who needs him. You're the woman he needs to reach. And he can't just show up with breadcrumbs anymore. He has to offer the full feast, not because you demanded it, but because your absence revealed the difference between who you were and who you've become. We're often taught that boundaries must be declared. I deserve more. I won't tolerate this. I'm done. But real boundaries, the ones that transform your life, are not stated. They're lived. Carl Jung once said, "What is not integrated into our consciousness manifests as destiny." Meaning, if you don't fully recognize your worth, you'll continue inviting those who don't either. So you don't need to explain why you're no longer responding to midnight texts. You don't have to justify why you declined the last-minute hangout. You don't owe him a lecture when he shows up only when it's convenient. Your absence is the boundary. Your silence is the line. Your consistency is the lesson. If he texts you inconsistently and you still reply within seconds, that's your boundary. If he entertains others and you stay in hopes he'll choose you, that's your boundary. Not what you say, but what you accept. When a man realizes he can no longer access you like before, when he senses your availability has shifted, it stings. Not because you were cruel, but because your energy stopped negotiating. You're no longer playing the backup role in your own story. You're no longer fighting to be seen. You've taken your seat at the throne. And the irony? You never had to raise your voice to do it. The most unsettling thing to the male ego isn't a woman who argues. It's a woman who simply isn't there anymore. No goodbye, no warning, just absence filled with peace. Because that kind of woman leaves a mark, not through drama, but through the quiet strength of someone who refuses to settle. And when she's gone, Truly gone? He remembers. After everything you've given, every moment you were available, present, and emotionally invested, don't you think it's time he moved? Carl Jung reminds us, when you stop acting from fear, you begin to see reality as it is. And the truth is this, when you no longer reach out, when you stop checking in, when you no longer perform emotional labor to hold the connection together, you finally give him the chance to reveal who he really is. He will either let you go or come after you. And that decision tells you everything. The man who values you won't need hints. He won't wait until you vanish to show up. He will come with clarity, with consistency, with heart. But if he doesn't, you haven't lost. You've gained clarity. You've regained your freedom. Because this was never about making him chase you. It was about remembering that your love is not a bargaining chip. It is sacred. It is rare. And it is not to be handed out to someone unsure. As Jung said so powerfully, don't hold on to those who walk away from you so that those who are meant to find you can. You are no longer the woman who waits. You are the woman who attracts by being still, by being whole, by being unforgettable.